Hi, I'm Jacob and you're watching Rappler. It's the end of September 2020, a little over 6 months under different degrees of quarantine. It has not been an easy time for most Filipinos. In fact, the past few years haven't exactly been easy for many Filipinos. How does that translate into art and, in particular, music? Our guests for today's Rappler Talk will hopefully help me answer that question. So we have as guests today the one, the only, Dicta License. Hello, guys.
Hi,
Hi,
Bea.
Bea.
Thanks for
Hi.
having us.
So we have Kelly, he plays the bass, POCHOY lead vocals, and JOREL Corpus, who produced the song that we're going to be talking about and other things that we'll be talking about in this interview. So, 6 months into quarantine, how are you guys?
Uh, I guess I'll start first. It's been okay. We released a song. So in terms of work output in songwriting, we've been productive. So just coping with the rules, the lockdown rules. All in all, despite the circumstances, of course, this is. I personally feel blessed to have a job, and you know being able to write songs and all of that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just tough what's happening uh, with our country in terms of dealing with the pandemic, and that is why we're really inspired to do stuff, to speak up. Kel, sorry, I took a lot of time there.
No. I mean, just to echo what Poch said. It's been a crazy year. A lot of things going on, a lot of changes, and same thing with him. We're just blessed to kind of still be doing what we do. I know it's very tough on a lot of artists and musicians, and everyone is adapting. And I think that's been the theme of this year: how to adapt to a climate that's so different. So yeah, I think we're coping, and then I'm just happy to be able to still do music and to work as well. And yeah, that's been my couple of months.
I guess it's my thing. Yeah, things are different in LA.
Yeah.
It's not as locked down as in Manila, but
Yeah.
yeah, like things are still tough. Like there's a lot of people who are out of work and stuff like that. Personally, um, there's some things going around, and I'm still able to like hang out with my friends because a lot of them are my roommates, and I'm happy to be able to work on this album because this means a lot to me too as a Filipino who's in the US. These things like mean a lot to me, so I'm really happy that I'm working on this. So yeah.
So
Sure, it's
on
been super inspiring.
so on the 21st, a few days ahead, you released your new single, Inosenteng Bala. Can you walk us through like any proseso nun? Like first of all, like I just want to say in like nowadays kasi sobrang intense yung hype when someone releases a single like my countdown and 3 days ahead, 5 days ahead, and then you
Yeah.
guys you just dropped it. Like I literally got an
Oh,
email before midnight and I'm like, oh my god, there's a new single. So
we
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, we did release a teaser
Yeah.
a few days before dropping the single. So something that we didn't really do uh, in the with the prior singles. So yeah, I mean there was a teaser,
Right.
uh, but yeah, sabi nga ni Jorel, we should have like done a more aggressive social media thing.
Countdown.
Uh, but yeah, what was the question? Like the process, no?
Yeah.
Uh, the process. Well, in a Senting Bala, I've had this song written for some time now. Like I think 2017. Um, and we had this is one of the songs that we sort of like rehearsed when everything
Mm,
was still normal, quote
yeah.
unquote. Uh, yeah, and yeah, we just yeah just following the guidelines. Of course, we couldn't jam. Uh, we just recorded individually and developed the song further with Jorel. It was a tough process, I would say, because it like evolved, and maybe Jor can speak on that a bit. Uh,
Yeah, so like Pochoy said, that you were queuing me up, right? So here I am talking.
yeah, go ahead.
Pochoy gave me the demo a couple of years ago, actually. And then I was listening to it, and at that time, the demo was kind of really raw.
Mm-hmm.
Though all of the elements pretty much were there already.
Right.
Um, it's just one of those songs that needed a little bit of time for our ears to mature. Like generally speaking, without getting too much into the details. Um, it was just one of those songs that needed some time to bake. Like sa ulo mo.
Yeah.
Kasi at that time, honestly, as a producer, hindi ko alam kung anong gagawin ko at that time when they gave it to me. Parang I wasn't, like I didn't feel like I was ready to make it happen. Um kasi wala siguro hindi pa ganun kahinog yung imagination or whatever.
Mm.
But like after all this time when actually nangyari doon, um if I
You
can say this right, I
you
technically
actually changed it up, diba?
I technically got fired as a producer for this.
Oh. Oh. Interesting.
Really? I didn't know that.
What's the
Not
What happened,
story
not
behind
sure.
what
that?
happened
That's
was
a
what
that's a
happened
different narrative.
was what happened was they were gonna go with another guy who was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know what happened, and then it just timing lang, and then it came back, and then I'm like, yeah, I think I'm ready to do this. Um, yeah, like ulitin ko na naman. It was just one of those songs na kailangan mo ng oras ng time para mahinog sa utak mo. Um, yeah. I don't know if there's anything else that I can say about that. Um, yeah.
No, I just wonder about that because syempre, like I'm not a musician. Like I don't know the creative process the way that
Right.
you would. Like how does that work? Na parang paano mo ba alam na okay, this song is not I'm not quite ready to deal with this
Okay,
song or handle
specifically
this.
speaking, I didn't know how to deal with like because Butcher really wanted the horn parts. Um, so those horn parts were really tough for us to. It was really tough for us to reach like an agreement on how to execute those.
Okay.
Kasi sa umpisa, like it wasn't really happening in my ears. Na parang I don't think it's these parts are happening yet, and everything sounds a bit, like it doesn't sound like it's complete. And I was
Right.
like, how do you put this together so that the horn parts are there, so that everything sounds cohesive, and it's not like pinagtagpi-tagpi mo lang sila.
Right.
Um, so I think, but just by sitting on the songs and letting it just marinate in your head, um, this sounds all like esoteric, right, or whatever.
No, we love
Esoteric.
esoteric on Rappler.
Right, right. By just by letting it sit in your head, at some as you listen to more stuff, you listen to more music, and you get, like you see like, oh, they did it this way, they did it that way, or whatever. Um, what ended up happening was that I felt that since it was a lot of it was programmed, right? It was all like digital and stuff when it was still in demo mode. I did feel like since they're like a live band that you need to have that kind of live kind of feel with the song for the horns to kind of work. So
Mm-hmm.
what we ended up doing was getting Kelly's friend, well, also our friend Mike, to play keys. And then I told
Mm-hmm.
him like, you know what, just feel have the freedom that you feel, have the freedom to play what you feel like should be played. I told him to do some, to play with the chords and whatever. and then when it happened, it really opened for me. It really opened up the production. You know, it really
Right.
opened up the imagination. Na like, oh, pwede palang ganito, pwede palang ganyan, and then we just kind of took it from there. You know,
Why were the horns important? Is
but
that a
Oh,
weird question?
the horns are important because I think they are it, they're like hooks in the song. I would say, the chorus, the bridge, diba? Parang like very hooky. But yeah, the horns, yeah, the horn line is like diba, like sort of like repeating and provides like another dimension to it, like sort of like a whimsical because it's like very dark, diba?
Right.
The song,
Right.
and it sort of provides like that
parang ibang
whimsical
palette.
vibe. Yeah, and syempre like the chorus part then, diba? Sort of like lifts the song as well.
And really interesting, just to add to what the guy said about songwriting. When Pochoy first presented the song to the band, he was like, the horns are gonna come like this, and he really had a vision for how that was gonna play a big role in certain parts, and it's so interesting to see, to hear how everything came out, right? And it just goes to show the also the creativity of Poch to kind of um, uh, think of things like that, and Jorel as well, about how to put things together.
Right.
Yeah,
Now
because no,
go
sorry,
go
babe.
ahead.
Like yeah, I was just gonna say like the first album was like straight up 4-piece band,
Yeah,
right? So I kind of wanted like the new batch of songs to be like there are more elements to it. So
Right.
yeah, I was really thinking of horns.
Right. Now that you mention it, the horns almost sound to me like a cry, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if
Mhm.
you've had the misfortune or the fortune of seeing an actual scene sa drug war. I'm sure, but sure you've seen videos. It kind of brings me back to when the family members of the victims see the dead bodies and they start crying. It almost brings me back there. I just wanted to say that. Um, okay, a morbid nung note na.
No, that's your interpretation. That's how the song hit you. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So it was released on the 21st. Obviously, the 21st is on paper, the declaration of martial law under Marcos. Was it a deliberate decision to release it on that date?
Yeah, sort of like we like releasing it's become a theme, I guess. We
Yeah.
earlier this year we released Salita
Mm-hmm.
on June 12, Independence Day.
Right.
So yeah, just running with the theme of releasing songs on significant dates in Philippine history. And yeah, like for Innocenting Bala, what what a day to release that song, diba? It's like the declaration of martial law, where um, it's a moment in Philippine history where rights were curtailed, um, and power was consolidated uh, into one entity, which is the executive at that time, and it was just in the embodiment of strongman rule, strongman tactics, and the song "Innocenting Bala" is a reflection of that. Diba? Now happening in 2020, 2016, 2020.
Right. Like, on top of that, well, in the Philippines, we're still in quarantine. So, what was the experience like also producing the song while in quarantine?
Uh, guys, no.
Mauna ka na, Kel.
this is this is such a different. I mean, for those for you guys who don't know, we've been bandmates for a long time also, and
Mm-hmm.
this was really the first time I've ever experienced a recording process like this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was great to work with Jorel, and him being a producer. It's
Di
different
ba
when you're
bandmates kayo dati?
exactly for those who don't know, we were also bandmates in Quan, and so it's different kind of working with Jorel as a producer because now you gotta, you really gotta, he has more say on how the song is really put in there.
I like how you hesitated before
It
you
was
finally found
it
the
was
word.
kind of like that when we were bandmates anyway.
It's like when you're bandmates, you don't have to listen to him, but when he's the producer of your album, then you're like, yeah, okay. But I
Yeah.
have a lot of respect for Jory and what he's done and what he's accomplished and how he made the song really shine. And when I saw the stuff that he was doing, when I heard what he did with the other songs that we released, and it gave me all the trust in kind of following his lead, and it also taught me how to be a better musician. Working with him, he also taught me to kind of take things simpler, and then he taught me to follow what he says without question, and yeah.
Without question.
Doesn't sound doesn't
But
sound
Yes,
like
naman. We're
but,
a democracy here.
Was that said
Yeah,
in
we
reverence or
yeah.
bitterness?
no, it was just a funny thing to say because I mean, ever since we always go back and we laugh about it. And when we're talking about these videos he sends me, and he starts talking about, I think I'd like it this way, and then he makes a mistake, and then he trails off, and then I'm trying to figure out what are you trying to say. So I'm a big fan of how he produced the song and what he did with it, and because of this, it was such a different process, and it also shows that how we're adapting and how it's possible to actually record an album from your home
Right.
during a time of a lockdown. Jorel is in the U.S., we're in the Philippines, and technology made that all possible. So that's the situation right now. That's pretty cool.
For sure. But like, the, the like all your years in industry, do you think there were still things that surprised you though, like with this whole creative process nga, and just being in different time zones, not having the access to the usual
Studio.
areas that
Yeah.
yeah, to the studios that you have access to.
I was gonna say like this is a more I was about to say that this was a more non-traditional setup, though.
Right.
Like being here in the US also, like I work with a lot of different people, and this is pretty much how people, like maybe half of, or maybe a quarter of the people I work with work like
Mm-hmm.
this,
Right.
because so many people have access now to, technology has changed, and then so many people have now access to like decent equipment for, fairly affordable prices. So, people can record at home, people know how to do stuff. So it's very easy to just email somebody and be like, "Hey, can you play this part?" And then you have a phone
Right.
call with them, or have a Zoom session and be like, "I want it played this way, played that way." And then they just do it. They know how to record themselves, they know how to do whatever. And I wanted to, like when Pachoy and I were talking about like making this album, I was like, this is totally possible, because I've seen it happen so many times, and we can totally do this. um so, like everybody has some access to some recording material, even if it's, simple software like GarageBand or whatever. Like people
Yeah.
can totally make
Garage
stuff.
band is king.
Yeah, people can totally like make stuff that will sound good if, like with a little know-how, and with a little like, like knowledge and stuff. So it was really good. It was really nice to be able to try and make this thing happen over the internet. um though I have to say, like, there's some stuff that, probably is would be a lot easier to communicate. Like, I had to make all these like really detailed Excel sheets on how I wanted things to happen, which I'm
We
not sure if it totally worked.
we are gonna release those Excel sheets sometime in the future.
Just because in my head I want to see things in one place, kind of like organized and stuff, so that I myself know that, okay, so the song, we need this, we need that, we need etc. Kasi pag sinulat ko lang siya sa text edit or whatever, parang mawawala sa akin yun eh.
Right.
So, I know na I didn't want to go all the way to use software like Slack or like all these like work software, right? Or Asana or all these Evernote, whatever. Or there's a lot of like other software, but I just wanted it, I just wanted to use Google Sheets.
It's
Thanks,
much
Google.
simpler.
Hanggang Google Sheets lang ako eh. So, yeah.
Slack can be traumatizing. I know that
Right.
firsthand. Okay, yung album na to, like, is there? I always wonder, like, for artists, is there pressure to create during quarantine? Because like you see everyone, like coming up with a quarantine song left and right. Parang meron bang parang shocks ako? Bakit tayo wala? May ganun bang factor din, or is it really just this is what I've always what you guys always wanted to do anyway? Like, just the pandemic just happened to happen.
So yeah, there's no pressure because of the at least on my end there was really no pressure to create because of the quarantine.
Mhm.
But I I I put pressure on myself to create actually this year, to write this year. I resigned from my previous work at the start of the year, which is crazy, right? Have having the pandemic and all,
Yeah.
to concentrate on writing these songs for our upcoming album or upcoming releases,
Mhm.
and so it wasn't the pandemic. I really planned on writing this year, so there was pressure, uh, just self-imposed, I guess.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we when we started playing again as a band, part of the goal was really to come up with an album of material that that and it was this year. So nagkataon lang talaga na nagka-pandemic.
Yeah.
but but we were really leading towards how to kind of get to a body of work, which we felt after Paghilom, that we needed a piece of work that would represent us during this time.
Right.
Kasi Paghilom was about, ano ba, Paghilom 10 years or more pa ago, diba? So this is kind of
2005.
within 2000,
Oh
wow,
my God,
15 years
15
ago.
years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Wow,
We
that hit
owe
me. But it but this is kind of like a new representation of who we are now. So
Right.
that's pretty cool.
Without meaning to carbon date myself and everyone else in this interview, I feel like for a lot of millennials, like, people who are now approaching their 30s, Dicta License was like, I think one of the, you guys were the first intro siguro to music na explicitly political,
Political. Yeah.
explicitly
Yeah.
that actually speaks of societal issues, no?
Mm.
How have you changed as artists from Paghilom to 2020?
You want to start, Kel? Or?
Go ahead, Troy.
Well, we changed, I guess, like musically, we changed a lot. Such a different musician now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After Paghilom, uh, yeah, I listen to way more diverse music now.
Mm-hmm.
It's been years, so yeah, I would like to think that I've evolved as a musician. And in terms of the social political messaging, Paghilom, I wrote the lyrics to Paghilom, and I wrote them at the time when I was studying law in Ateneo, and someone who hasn't really uh, worked with communities, and had very little idea of what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and some people regard those songs as social political. Their first the social political type of music, right? But right now, I would say these lyrics are coming from someone who has worked as a human rights lawyer, human rights advocate, worked on indigenous people's rights, and yeah, so it's a totally different perspective now.
Tsaka if you think about it, also back then, a lot of our fans, parang our stuff was very heavy, and a lot of distortion if you think about it back then. But we all grow as musicians, and 15 years is a long time. And when we started playing again, Pochoy already said, hey, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do new stuff. We're gonna do something different, and we were all on board with that. And as musicians, we always want to grow. We always want to um, um, evolve. But definitely, what stays true is the message, and I think that's why Pochoy's lyrics are very very powerful because what stays true is the message we're trying to put out. And I think these are strong messages, and stuff that people can relate to. And the best platform really is for people to understand and to learn about things is really through arts and music. So I think that's where our place is there.
Right. Well, I mean, your audience is obviously the people who first listened to you in 2005 are also very different people now, whether we
They,
like it or not.
yeah, they've also grown into their own political uh, paradigms, right?
Mm.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
time has not been kind to all of us. Okay. Um, okay, so back to the single. The lyrics aren't very subtle. The music video, which features stills and video from Carlo Gabuco, who's covered the uh, drug war in quotes, extensively. They drive the point even further, obviously, of the song. Do you guys ever hesitate to come out with the songs that you come out with?
Uh, there's always that fear, especially in a time like this, diba,
Mhm.
where you have these killings
Right.
and you have a sort of shutting down of a culture of shutting down people for dissenting, having dissenting opinions, um, and yeah, just a climate of violence. Uh, it's there's always that fear, but yeah, when when I first approached Sila Kelly and Boogie, who's not here, pero like I told them the possible consequences of releasing songs like this, but uh, we're Dicta license. Why? This is a platform that we can definitely utilize to bring a message across. And parang sayang naman, Dicta license pa tayo. What are we gonna sing about, right? And
Right.
what better time to sing about these things that we believe in than now?
Right.
So yeah, I love the response of my bandmates and also Jorel, who's super passionate about the project.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and just with Carlo also, working with Carlo, I met him in one human rights forum gathering. I
yeah.
saw his photos, um, and it just clicked on me. I had Innocenting Bala already
Okay.
written, and that was maybe like 2 years ago. And I approached him, and yeah, it was just, yeah, I told myself I'm gonna talk to this guy one day, and yeah, about a video for the song, and we just connected, and this happened like the connection like a month ago or yeah 2 months ago.
And just to
Yeah.
add, when I saw the video and I saw the photos for the first time, and I saw all those images and how it played with the song,
Yeah.
grabe, alam mo yun, it made everything so much more powerful. And yun nga, and he did amazing, work in showing those things. So that's pretty cool.
Joel?
I was thinking like I'm not really part of the band, so
Yeah, but
No,
I'm
but
not.
your name is part of the project, obviously, right?
come on.
Right, right,
Not
right.
like you can dissociate from
Sorry, what was the question was
that.
how
No,
have
no.
we
Do you
evolved,
hesitate
right?
or did it ever like did was there ever a moment of hesitation?
Oh, right, 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 right. So, personally speaking, I feel like yes, of course, you hesitate, right? But I feel like the stakes are higher because the stakes are kind of lower for me
Right.
because I'm not in the Philippines. So it was, and though like I know that there might be a lot of like repercussions. So yes, there was hesitation, but like I believe in the project, and I've always believed in what truth and all of that, right? So if and Puchoy has always done that. Puchoy has always spoken about that, and I I like everything. So I I said yes, right,
Mm.
to doing the
Yeah,
project. Um, yeah.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say just yeah, forgot about this, and but I mentioned this in the articles. I feel I feel strongly about this because I feel this is the artist's duty. This is a calling. I believe that I was gifted with this songwriting and this platform to spread this message. And so, in spite of the fears, I press on, and I approach these people, these bandmates who I think were also there's also a reason why they're my friends, um, because I know they can play a part in this, in spreading this message.
Right.
And so that's why, in spite of the fears, I feel strongly about it.
Right. I just want to go back to like Paghilom to 2005. Like, was it ever a deliberate decision? Now we like I want music na political, or was it like more of a write what you know thing?
Combination of both, I guess. Like we were heavily influenced by bands like Rage Against the Machine, uh, yeah, Bob Dylan, Bob Marley. I've always been like enamored by these bands who speak about political stuff, which
Yeah.
I consider very very high art because may pagtataya eh. Like
Mhm.
one, you can get in trouble. You can two, you're taking a stand. It's so brave. I feel it's so brave. So it's yeah. So I guess it's a combination. I always wanted it that way. I guess so. It's both. Yeah. It's. I guess it's deliberate. I would say it's deliberate.
Kelly.
And and interesting, coming from Paghilom, you're right. It was 15 years ago, different time. But the interesting about thing about Dicta license is that we did the music, we played it, we performed it, but we really let Poch use it as an outlet for things he was thinking, and he talked to us about it. He talked to us about the songs and what they meant, and we signed off on it. But basically, it's how he viewed a lot of things, and it really shows for me. I've been around a lot of songwriters and artists, and it just goes to show that how what an interesting and powerful kind of mind Poch has with regards to putting lyrics on music and creating it. So I mean it's such a different time. I think it's also about different areas in our times in our life, but sometimes the message still remains, and the message still stays, right? So that's the big difference there.
So ba ngayong,
So
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So one of the things I was gonna say was one of the things that I really liked about this project is that Tama si Kelly, like when he was saying that you've been around like a lot of people who write, and me too. Like especially, a lot of my friends here are all in the music, music audio kind of industry. And this particular project means a lot to me because this actually has, like, this talks about what's happening in the Philippines. This talks about our history, and this talks about like things that are significant to every Filipino. And there's also themes that are significant to what's happening in our current political world, or what's happening in the world, especially in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, usually, a lot of songwriters will talk about, I don't know, like their feelings or whatever, their personal stuff. But this amplifies a lot of voices that are unheard.
Right.
Marami dun sa mga kanta ang nagsasalita tungkol sa kung ano-anong nangyayari sa ibang tao, and how, like, how other people are, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, hindi lang siya, oh, I feel this way, oh, I want to talk about my love life, oh, I want to talk about my whatever. Like, this talks
It's just
about
valid also.
this talks about, yeah, right, right. But there's, I haven't really done a project na, oh, we need to talk about what's happening in society, oh, we need to talk about what's happening in our political world, oh, we need to talk about, like, how there seems to be a rise of authoritarianism, or whatever, or that kind of thing.
Right.
So I was really happy, and I was really, it was really awesome to be facilitating these songs and trying to make sure that the the songs are completed in a way hindi lang siya na hindi lang siya, okay, tara magsulat tayo ng kanta, but let's try to really make this sound good.
Right.
You know let's try to make this sound cool and compelling to people who may not be listening to Dicta License, who may
Right.
not be just Filipinos, who may, let's try to make
Right.
it compelling for everybody who's trying to hear this. um yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted, sorry, like wanted to add that this is working with Kel, Jorel, Boogie, just everyone, buying into this project inspires me more. Just takes away that fear a little bit, because I have allies in this fight. So I wish it wasn't a fight, but it has to be said. And
Right.
I love it that they're saying this, that they're also passionate about it. So it's great.
And I guess to add also, like beyond giving a voice to those who might not always be heard, I think music can also help listeners who might not have found their own voice yet. Parang to
Yes.
assure them that it's okay
Yeah.
to have
Mm,
a stand or to help them articulate whatever they might already be thinking, di ba?
that is
Uh,
true.
yeah.
It might spark something from other musicians, young musicians, and that's also one of the goals of these songs that we will be releasing.
Right. So you're working on an album. How is that going?
It's okay. It's been great, I would say. Yeah, we never. I think this is the most productive we've ever been in recent memory. Yeah, and so it's yeah. We're almost done
Oh,
actually. Or spoiler alert. Uh, aren't we, Jor? No ba?
Yeah, I mean, we've come a long way since a month ago.
you should check the spreadsheet. It might be there.
I
Yeah,
I
Kel, ano ba?
I
Na-check na ba?
Oh, dude, we're no, it's
just
a
need
different.
those base parts from Kill. Anyways,
I'm getting YouTube videos, no, but we're definitely making time for it, and but you know what, the songs are so different, and for those who know the license from 2005, and for those who know the band, I think it's gonna be a cool album. I think it's gonna be something different, for people. I don't know, but I think it's still powerful, and still That's something to say, definitely.
For those who know Dicta license from 2005, you're gonna delete it.
Wala na, no?
You're gonna be like, ano yan?
I mean,
Pero to, Dicta license ba to?
I mean, for a casual listener, parang
Mm.
when you hear Inosenteng Bala for the first time, it's a little jarring is not the word, but it's very unnerving because it's not the familiar sound that you're used to, I guess. But it's still
Mm.
kind of familiar in a weird way.
Yeah.
Parang alam mong Dicta license, pero parang, wait lang, bakit may iba na akong naririnig? Or,
Bakit may horns?
I think like we really Pochoy really wanted to evolve, right? And I'm totally with that because honestly, it's funny, right? A little insight, and I haven't talked about this with everybody.
O, teka lang.
Never mind.
Ano mo sasabihin dito?
But,
Hindi
but
naman.
not si Jorel sa interview.
Sabi ko na eh.
No. I was gonna say, music. Like the music scene has really evolved. Basically, music has evolved. The type of things people listen to now are totally different. And also, I've seen that with the type of things that people are making here in LA. With yung mga local and indie artists and the type of production and stuff like that. It's totally different. What we were doing, or what people were doing back in 2005, will if we did the exact same thing right now, personally speaking, it'll sound so dated. It'll sound really old and dated. So I like, and if we try to do the same type of thing, I don't think you will gain more listeners, or or rather you'll just, parang feeling ko it's not gonna be good for the band to remain the same.
Malamang hindi ikaw yung producer, di ba?
you know, um, kasi first of all, it will sound na parang hindi nag-evolve, or hindi, or maybe hindi nag-grow. In my opinion, tapos you're gonna lose the chance to be kind of like you have to be, as a producer, you kind of tread between like following what your artist wants, because as a producer you're at the mercy of your artist, basically. um I mean, of course, like I have a say in how things happen, but before I even started like executing all of the things that I'm trying to execute, me and
Mhm.
Pochoy had a lot of talks na, how do you want this to happen? Like, how do you want this type of thing to happen? How do you want this chorus to happen? How do you want this sound thing to happen? And sometimes I throw in like really like off center ideas out of the blue, and then it's either he rejects it or not. Um, so yeah, you're treading the line between like serving your artist and at the same time trying to make sure that the music is compelling to the best of your knowledge to your audience. That's your job as a producer. Um, so when Pochoy gave me his vision, I tried my best to interpret it and apply my own personal musical tastes na pinanggalingan ko from all these years that I've been out of the country, and like I've meeting a lot of people and like working with so many different people from all around the world. Um, Technically speaking, because my community is very international, kasi kung saan-saan nanggaling sa mundo yung mga kaibigan ko dito dahil sa school ko. So
Yeah.
um syempre iba-ibang perspective na yon. So nakakatuwa rin kasi nakikita mo kung paano gumawa ng music yung mga tao from all over the world. So alam mo yun, ma-apply mo yung knowledge na yun to what you think would be compelling for 2020, in a way na is still sort of staying true to what you think Dicta license is. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So that was quite a task, to be honest. And I'm still trying to figure that out as we're finishing this album. And we're still, like Tama si Pochoy, like a lot of the production of the album is pretty much set. Though marami pa kaming mga ibang details na or sa ulo ko, parang may mga gusto pa akong
Na,
gawin na
na i-delete.
I mean,
yung process namin ganun eh. I always throw ideas and it's either it gets rejected or not. And you can't be like, what I've learned is that, like coming into this, I've learned the hard way that you can't be too attached to your ideas. Because if you're really totally attached to your ideas and then it gets rejected, you're gonna be flustered. But if you're like, like if you keep an open mind and you're flexible, like okay, then he doesn't like that, then you'll try another thing. You know what I mean?
it's always
And,
in motion.
Which is
but
which
that,
pretty much helped our whole process be easier. Because there was a lot of rejection and there was a lot of approvals too.
there's not a lot of rejection. Oh,
Bakit magkaiba yung narrative? Okay, you mentioned it na rin kanina, the audience, right? So like, again, to not without meaning to carbon date myself, like, I was probably 14 or 15 when I first heard the
Shucks.
music.
wow.
Ang dami nang nangyari sa buhay ko at sa
Yeah.
Pilipinas. And like,
Wow.
and a lot of things have happened in the music industry, right? So like, how does that make sense? Like, how does that affect siguro the creative process also na parang streaming wasn't a thing in 2005,
Yeah.
right? Normally the first time you hear a single is through the radio or through Mix or through MTV, right? Now it's streaming services. Like,
Yeah.
how does that also affect the not just the creative process but like the technical process of it all?
Uh, to me, it's kind of the same. Like, although there's, yeah, the huge change is really the technology, diba? Hindi ko alam yun, like how the uh, the distribution of the music affects the creative process. Because to me, it's sort of the same. Yung it's the first time that I've used programs, computer programs to write songs. Like first time to like make demos and send to the producer, and then like we'll hash things out from there. That wasn't the songwriting process during Paghilom. But yeah, siguro sa yung with the streaming services, the distribution, maybe Kelly can speak more about that. But yeah, to me, it's like kind of tricky. Like, how are we gonna release these songs? But at the same time, it's also fun because like before, it's like album, diba? Sambaksak. Now it's like okay, we can release this song here at this date, significant date, and then this other song. Yeah. So, Kel.
Yeah, we were always, when we started with the band, we were always EP album,
Yes.
first EP kami, then album. Ganun we recording before. And now everything, when we started getting back together and playing music, we started going singles. We did Bagong Bayani, Dictador, Salita. And that's the way music is consumed now. And there's a lot of people who release that way. But I guess, at the end of the day, the way we want to kind of come out is it really depends on each artist. And you're right, having singles also allows us now to kind of pick these dates and pick certain moments that are significant and kind of put that out there. There's just a lot of ways to do it, but there's a lot of music that's going around now also. So it's just a different kind of world. So much music is created. Like JOREL said, there's music all around the world. So many songs are uploaded every day. But I think what we want to stick to is speaking about certain topics, speaking about topics that are socially impactful and mean something to us, and that's our identity, and that's how we want to kind of move forward with our music also.
That's really what Dicta License is. I mean, like, I don't know if we're gonna expect us to release a love song soon,
Yeah.
right?
Very.
Meron ba in the works? Yeah. So
Is there a love song in the work?
Love song for the country.
How I is that
Ito na,
sabi ni Zach din all his songs are love songs. Oo, parang I read somewhere.
bigla nag-break in public na? Is there a date? Like, is there a ballpark figure now for when the album is coming out?
We were just talking about this.
Yeah.
yeah, we can't give you a date.
But we can tell you it's almost done.
Yeah, we're gonna release songs. So yeah,
Soon.
we don't know how exactly, like, if it's an album format, but
Mm,
you're gonna expect more
yes.
We have enough.
songs.
We have enough material for an album for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
that's
have
for sure.
another part of curiosity. How do you take social media? Kasi obviously, that's another thing that wasn't a thing in 2005. Just
Yeah,
ko,
that's
ano na ba
true.
meron nun? Ngayon, your fans or your listeners can tweet at you if
Yeah,
they hear if they hear songs from Paghilom, they can still tweet at you and react to it
Yeah.
yeah.
15 years later. So how does it even do you even care about what people on social media tell you kunwari, about the songs that you produce?
Yeah, ako I care, of course. Like, this is uh, we write songs to say things,
Mhm.
to make an impact. So of course I care about reactions. But what's funny is, I think there's a bunch of listeners, past listeners, that don't really agree with us now. That's why
Yeah.
I said, like, like people, uh, yeah,
People are
people have,
I'm
different
sure.
political paradigms.
people have grown into their own selves, right? Like, and that's why I really think, but I really think our songs right now, of course, I would like to think that are much superior to what we released before, because yeah, there's just so much experience. Ang bigat na nitong mga pinag-uusapan namin ngayon, and grabe yung pagtataya.
Yeah.
Medyo Paghilo was ano ba? What do you- and mild pa nga eh.
Yeah.
There's like social political messaging there, more like nationalistic,
Actually, ito
but
na ngayon
it's
eh.
still mainstream. This is like we're taking a stand.
Right.
Another funny thing lang, lagi kong nakikita with people like sharing our stuff, yung comment na ang pagbabalik.
Why
After
do
each
you find
single.
that
Like,
funny?
didn't we just release a song? I don't know.
No,
That's always like that. Oh,
I think it's also because people are
yeah.
used to like yung talagang every month biglang may bagong single. So parang
Siguro.
Yeah.
baka kaya every single is ang pagbabalik. So,
True yun, no?
Which is also
So,
true. It's a true statement.
Maghanap ka na
Like,
ng significant date every month.
di ba?
uh,
Every president ganyan, no?
mm.
Okay. So, Kelly, social media.
yeah, I mean, when we were doing interesting, like when we were doing the material now, part of it was like I asked the guys, do you want to promote this? How do you want to play this? Diba? How do you want to do you want to do social media, go to press, and said, and we said, yeah, we decided, yeah, we want the song to be heard. We want people to listen to the music and to hear what we have to say. And it's a different world. You're right. Back in 20 shucks, whenever wala
2005.
2000.
2005.
Iba
I mean,
nga yung
wala
pagkasabi, hindi 20,
wala.
di ba?
Oh, iba
2005.
iba wala kaming walang Instagram, walang Twitter, walang I mean, may Facebook siguro, but it was a different world, and people would go to discover music through the radio, through watching yung gigs.
Yes.
Now it's playlisting. It's about social media and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, we adapt also, and I mean, I'm on it. We're all on it, diba? We're all on the different platforms, and I guess we still have a lot to learn on how to use that platform also to the best of our ability to make it to use to tie everything up together. So
Right.
definitely,
Jorel?
Yeah, I think social media is really important because it's your platform to connect with your audience.
Mm-hmm.
2020 is, that's pretty much how everybody's communicating nowadays, especially now na pandemic, it's a lockdown or whatever. Or in LA, it's really not really a lockdown.
Hugot.
My my instrument, right?
What's sad is, yeah, ganun nga, internet lang no? It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
I
Yeah.
think social media is absolutely necessary to connect with their audiences. So artists should definitely be, you know, getting on it.
Right. Or
That's
finding
Jorel
value.
telling us.
Yeah.
Utos
See?
yun, utos yun.
And of course, we get to hear all the comments now. I mean, may nagsasabing, dati gusto ko kayo eh. Parang
Yeah.
may mga ganun
Talaga
na rin
ba?
eh.
May mga ganung
Oh,
listeners. Like,
oh.
did they not listen to the other songs that you're releasing?
Parang
Or
okay na kayo sana, pero may
Yeah.
mga
You know
ganun
hindi
eh.
what?
ba nila yung mga
Ah.
kanta nyo dati?
You know what? It's very difficult because yun nga, the first album was really like more nationalistic, which is actually something that can be twisted, di ba? This
Right.
nationalist sentiment na parang progress for the Filipino. But we weren't really talking about,
Make America great again.
yes. I think like Trump
That's right.
may have used a rage song, or I think si Paul Ryan, di ba? He like Rage Against the Machine. He didn't really listen to the lyrics. That's what he said. But you know, yeah, the songs were more like that, nationalistic. But that can be, of course, that falls. I think it could be a weapon also to be twisted and na parang, oh, we should progress like this, and it can be like a weapon for hate, you know, to destroy institutions, right? And and like, oh, ganito, we should progress, but we're not thinking about the means anymore. How are we gonna progress? To whose benefit these programs are gonna uh, be for, you know? Uh, so yeah, it's totally different. It's totally different people also. Yeah, there's also democracy fatigue. You know, um, what's happening right now, I believe, is a product of just failures of the past. You know, realizing true democracy and, you know, true services for the people. Diba? We failed, I think, and it's right now we're just experiencing like the frustration of the Filipino. You know, and it's resorting to extreme measures. Diba?
Right.
So in a sense, parang I can't. It's hard to blame them, but at the same time, you know, we also question it. Diba? Because you also put trust in the people that they have a mind and they can judge for themselves. But it's tough.
Right. Fascinating. I'm trying to recall tuloy if in the campaigns I've covered before, did someone accidentally or purposefully play a Dicta license song? Thankfully,
I
I
think I
can't.
saw one. I saw one na
Wait, did it
parang
happen
ating
in
araw. Yeah,
Oh,
used by, you know, a supporter of the administration. Yeah.
that's strange. But okay. So Inosenteng Bala, it asks a question I think a lot of people are afraid to ask sometimes. Na parang,
Hmm.
kumbaga, may kinalaman din ba ako dito sa nangyayaring gulo sa Pilipinas? Tas, I think one very important question that you ask in the song is, okay lang ba na tahimik ako? Obviously,
Pwede
the
na lang
answer,
bang manahimik?
yes. Actually,
Hmm.
inibang ako kasi baka mahirapan ko.
We-
Sabihin, like, at the risk of like, over-explaining the song, obviously your answer is no. With the songs that you produce and the album that you're producing. But so what's the driving force, I guess, behind the music that you are now working on?
Ah, well, the drive. I have to give some credit to, you know, what's happening right now, and it's perpetuated by the present administration and its supporters. You know, and I have to say, give a caveat there. You know, even if I strongly oppose most of the policies of this government, I truly want it to succeed. Of course,
Yeah.
I have hope. That's why we're speaking out. That's why we're criticizing. You know, people equate criticism to, uh, you know, wanting things to falter uh, for the government or for institutions. Worse now, like terrorism, right? And we see that in some sections of the government, right? But no, I mean, like you're actually, and this was in a forum that this was mentioned in a forum that I attended. You're actually an optimist. Like you want to contribute uh, to governance, and that's part of living in a democracy. You are part of governance.
Mhm.
Your voice does not end with the ballot. It continues on in expressing your your opposition. That's your right, and so that's really, yeah, that's the drive. That's why, especially yun yung nga nung kinausap ko sila Kel, sabi ko we have to release songs now. I mean, we're still together. You know we're still Dicta license, and we're not gonna release songs now. This is the what better place than here, what better time than now, sabi nga ni ng Rage, di ba? So yeah, that's the drive.
Yeah. Kelly?
No, I mean, yeah. What Poch said totally. Yeah, it's a tough time. And you're right. A lot of people are thinking a lot of these things, right? And I think, or you're right. Like what you said a while ago, they don't have um, a forum to say it. And I think as artists, it's a powerful platform to speak these things through art and music, and even with Innocenteng Bala, when I first heard the song, and when Pochoy told me about the meaning of the song, and I was like, whoa, that's some heavy stuff, right? And ang galing ng pagkagawa niya ng kanta, how he used the metaphor of that bullet, right? And galing, and very, 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 and it all fits with what's going on now. And I think you'll see that with a lot of the songs, with the coming album. It's going to be a lot of different topics, but definitely there's a lot of meat to what's going to come out, and I'm pretty excited to unravel everything, and let the audience kind of go on that journey with us in putting out this music. Yeah.
Jorel.
So I'm not one to explicitly, or rather, I haven't really been one to explicitly say stuff that's on my mind politically or whatever. And this gives me an avenue to do so. Uh, and I feel like it's by trying to make the album as best as I could, or trying to facilitate it, trying to produce it as best as I could. That's one of the ways that I can really make a statement on kung ano yung tingin kong dapat sabihin sa current, kung anong nangyayari ngayon. Kasi yung mga topics na pinag-uusapan dito sa album na to, hindi lang pang Pilipinas, tingin ko.
Yeah.
May topics na tungkol na relevant din sa mga nangyayari sa US, sa ibang countries. And, yeah, that's my basic answer to the question. Yun yung nagdadrive sa akin to make this album really good.
Right. Thank you. Thank you guys for your time. I know that there's marami kayong ginagawa. Like on top of Dicta license, on top of the album, you also have day jobs or like
Yeah.
other
Wala
work.
akong job.
Ay, okay.
Full-time ako.
Si Jor, matutulog na si Jor.
Tulog ako ng mga 6 p.m. lang.
So thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for
Thanks, Bea.
walking us through the single and more or less the album that's coming out soon. So thank you for
Thank you, Bea.
Thank you.
watching.
Thanks,
Thank you
Bea,
guys.
for the time.
us.
Thank you, Rappler.
Um,
And thank you,
thank
Rappler, for doing what you're doing.
Yep.
we
Thank you
and
so
Appreciate
much.
thank you also for doing what you are doing and the music that you're releasing. So, stream Innocenteng Bala, listen to Dicta License on, ako nag-plug bigla, no? Put them on all streaming sites. Thank you guys for watching Rappler. We'll see you around soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hopefully, wala nang quarantine.